Talking all this noise, taking me a long time. John 5. And we're looking for, hold on a minute. Wrong John. I said, look at the talking noise. See that? For a second. And how many of us are familiar with this particular story we're about to go into? If you are already there, about the healing at the pool. Yeah. We're going to go through 2 through 9 right quick. So just follow along with me right quick. Now, there is in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie: the blind, the lame, and the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool. When the water is stirred, while I am trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." Then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." At once the man was cured, and he picked up his mat and then walked. Now, how does this tie into what we're talking about this morning? There are a few pivotal questions that we have to ask. It's something that God really wants us to see in this passage. First, one question that hit me was, why did he go there in the first place? You know, what made him decide, of all the places to go in the world, I'm going to go to this particular place? You know, a lot of times, was he just, did he really want to get healed, or was he just going because that's where everybody else went? Okay. Let me make it more plain. Why exactly do you come to church? Are you really here to get healed? Or are you here because it's the fad thing to do? All right now. Let's pose some pivotal questions. What is it that you really here seeking? Okay. So we watch him and we study this man and we come to the conclusion that he had been there all of this time, and I have to question if he really wanted to be healed, or did he not just believe, or did he not have enough faith to think that he really could get healed? Okay. You know, how often has our way of invalid living kept us from believing that we were worth God's grace? Okay. See, a lot of times, and this is the heavy thing that we don't really all of a sudden, that we don't always acknowledge. A lot of times we don't aggressively go after what God has for us because we don't necessarily believe we're worthy of the blessing. Talk to somebody who has actually wondered if they were going to get to the next day. Talk to somebody who has actually committed so much sin in their life that they have trouble praying. And that I can, let alone, pray, but come to church after all that I've done. But what God teaches us is that He's never far away. And that you are worth every blessing that God has for you. If you don't do nothing, look to your neighbor and say, I am worth every blessing God has for me. But I'm going to fast forward a little bit. We notice that he stayed in bondage for 38 years. 38 years. It's a long time to be wallowing in pity and sin, lack of self-esteem, whatever negative attributes you want to think. It's a long time to be in bondage. So, because of his own lack of work, what the enemy likes to do is, Jesus already won the battle. Okay? So what the enemy wants to do, he wants to attack your perception. Because if I can just blur your vision enough to get you to think I got you, then I got you. So he spent all this time waiting on someone else to do something that he could do for himself. Because he said, Jesus, every time I get ready to go, somebody gets in before me, and I don't have nobody to help me get into the pool. How many of us are just standing on the cusp of greatness, waiting for somebody else to propel us forward? How many times, how often, how long are we going to sit in that particular place? But let me drop this on you. If you read further in that story, when Jesus delivered him, he changed his mind. We talk about all the time here in the world. You know, the world of mind. And once he changed his mind about his perception, he was finally able to walk. But here's the kicker. He never needed the water in the first place. You hear what I'm saying? He never needed the water in the first place. All he had to do was change his mind. He never needed it. You know, so what is it? So as I come to a close, what is it that you're holding on to that you never needed in the first place? What in this series of what have I been thinking? What was I thinking? What am I thinking? I got to hold on to. That's the root of my salvation. What superstition am I holding on to? What person, what woman, what man, what job am I holding on to that I think is the root of my salvation? And if you find that, if you're able to find the answer to that, and it's not, then you're holding on to the wrong thing. You're building your life on shifting sand. And you know what the word teaches us about building on shifting sand. Amen? Amen. Now I'm going to go ahead and close this thing out. Get me all hyped up and I'll be up here like old Baptist preacher. Next 3-4 hours. Y'all ain't gonna never come back. This ain't gonna preach no more. Let this fool up here no more. But family, I just want to leave y'all with that. Don't let the enemy steal your joy or steal your perception. And if it's something that you believe in God for, go after it with boldness. Because you are sanctioned by the promise. You are authorized. You have the badge of approval to have everything that God has for you. Amen.
My favorite word, wow. Let the people of God say, wow. Let the people of God say, wow. And I'm so proud of you. We're so proud of you. Not just me. We're so proud of you. We're so proud of you. We're so proud of you. Talk the word, you